There is one thing in Genshin Impact that trumps all the others in terms of how much damage your characters can do. If you've ever asked yourself or your favorite streamer, aka Eakes TV over on Twitch, what should I be doing to get stronger? How should I be using my resin? What should I be doing in the late game? Stuff like that. Well, I'm here to answer all those questions and to really nail into you guys what makes the biggest difference to your characters in Genshin. So is it your character's level, allowing them to get access to their Ascension stats, Ascension talents, and higher talent levels? No. Well, then is it your character's talent level specifically, crowning their burst or skill to get the most potential out of it? No. Well, then is it the weapon level of my character, getting that base attack and that substat up to the highest it could possibly be? It's not that either. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. Those are all really important pieces to the puzzle, and they should all be leveled up for sure. But it's your artifacts by far, and it's not even close. If you've ever thought, why can't I beat this content? Why am I doing so little damage? I followed a character guide. I've got the right weapon. I've got the right artifact set they told me to run. I've leveled up my talents. Why is my damage still kind of bad? It's the quality of your artifacts. Now, before you dip out of the video thinking, yeah, dude, I know artifacts are important. I've heard it a million times. Peace. Okay, I bet I could teach you exactly why artifacts are so much stronger than the others, and it'll give you a better grasp of Genshin's math and mechanics. I bet I could teach you how to actually roll artifacts, how to know when to keep something, when to not, how to know if it's an actual upgrade for your character or not. And I think I could even help you look at a character of yours and figure out what artifact stats you need to hit specifically to make that character the best so that you can make the judgment call on your account, as well as a bunch of other great information on stats in Genshin. All right, so guys, let's get into the first piece of info I want to hit you guys with in this video. To really understand why artifacts are so insane, we have to understand our character level and our character talents. Like I said, these are extremely important things to level up, and we should. But the thing is they are also very linear. It is extremely easy to hit the ceiling of power for both your character and your talents. Once your character is level 90 and your weapon is level 90, it's over. You cannot level them up any more than that. Or once your talents are level 10, it does cost a ton of mora and resin, but once it's over, you cannot transcend above that. 10 is the max. Not to mention, for most characters, you don't need them to be level 90 and have triple 10 talents. But anyway, I know it's locked behind a lot of annoying RNG and artifact rolls, but the power ceiling for artifacts is insanely high. They are the biggest possible damage multiplier you can put on your character in Genshin. Let me show it to you like this. I want to create a visual, guys. Let's just do a kindergarten level math equation. We'll start with 1 times 1. Now, leveling up your character to 90, unlocking those talents, those ascension stats are easy, and they are fixed stats. They're permanent on your character. It is a base number here, the number that is going to be multiplied. Okay, so we got a few multipliers in there, you know, from things like your ascension stats and stuff like that. So let's put 10 times 3. Well, now we've got our talents raised up, and they are quite literally a multiplier on our skills, but they are, again, finite, they are fixed, and they are, you know, permanently going to be the damage of our skills. So it's obviously very arbitrary and not exact at all, these numbers, guys, so don't get, you know, fixated on that. But let's say we're at 20 times 15 now with talents. Let's add in the weapon and their base attack and their substat after we brought them to level 90. We'll say we're here 30 times 20. And now the artifacts, even they have an uncontrolled fixed main stat, right? Like the, you know, the feathers attack, the flowers HP, and then even, you know, the random stat you're going to get on your sands goblet and circlet. It is a fixed number that will always be the same at level 20. But now the quality of your artifacts are here to show just how insanely important they are. They are going to be raising the factor we are multiplying by a ton. Crit rate and crit damage are absurdly important multipliers we are dealing with here. Basically, critting as often as you possibly can and critting for a ton of damage are in most cases the most important combat stat in all of Genshin. And the way to affect these the most is artifacts. But not only crit and crit damage, multiplying how much attack our characters have with an attack percent substat or main stat is huge, as well as, you know, HP percent or defense percent if we're using a character that scales with that, right? Or even multiplying how much energy our character is generating for itself with energy recharge percent, which is absolutely necessary to do big damage. We have to get our burst up to be able to use it. Through your artifacts getting more crit rate, more crit damage, more attack percent, more energy recharge, we can make the number that we are multiplying by the factor go up and up and up. You will reach a point eventually where you cannot raise the number we are multiplying. Of course, there is a theoretical ceiling as to how high our artifacts can go, but it is so impossibly locked behind so many walls of RNG that it's pretty much impossible. But we can always strive for perfection. We can strive to get those stats higher and higher and higher. Once again, guys, the numbers in that math equation were pretty arbitrary. It's just to prove a point. Don't get hung up on it. Anyway, a character with high talents, high levels, a high level on their weapon, but with dog artifacts is going to be mediocre straight up. You take a character with slightly lower levels, lower talent, slightly lower weapon, but they have insane artifacts, they are going to pop off and they are going to embarrass that character with way higher levels of talents. And the thing is once you have those artifacts and those talents and levels are lower, you can just raise them up. It's so easy to level up your talents and the level of your character. But the thing is artifacts are not easy. They are not going to come out of nowhere. You've got to get out there, grind for them, farm for them, roll the right ones and keep the right ones, upgrade and replace. Now let's get into some important stuff about actually rolling artifacts. I've seen this mistake made a ton of times over on the Eakes Discord from people with really poor artifacts. We tell them to go farm for better ones. They come, they get a crit damage hat on the set they need, but then let's say their rolls were, you know, mediocre, or let's even say they were bad, right? And then they think, okay, this artifact is bad because it's not perfect. I'm just gonna throw it away. I get that we may see these insane artifacts on Twitter or Reddit or in the group chat or whatever, but it doesn't matter. The only artifact you need to compare this one to is the ones on your account. Those other ones don't matter. That bad artifact might just be the only one you possibly have, meaning it is the best artifact that you have, even though it might not be perfect. An upgrade is an upgrade. If you didn't have a single geo damage goblet and then you level one up to 20 and the rolls are kind of bad, well, it doesn't matter because you didn't have one. It is the best geo damage goblet you have because it's the only one you have. It should go without saying, but using a mediocre artifact is better than no artifact at all. The only time you should scrap an artifact like that and throw it into another one for EXP is if you've got at least 2 or 3 better geo damage goblets, because obviously there's going to be multiple characters that want a geo damage goblet, and you know, even with artifact sets, different artifact sets in play here too, you're going to want to keep them. You have to think that you are just striving for improvement, however little it may be, not perfection. You got to be hyped when you get, you know, a 3% more crit rate on the same exact kind of artifact, okay? Because that makes a big difference in Genshin. I'm actually going to be making some videos coming up soon on the channel where I'm going to go onto a viewer who's newly AR 45, and I'm going to organize and fix all of their artifacts, level up the good ones, and then I'm even going to do that for some, you know, longer time players as well. So guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel to not miss those. A lot of progressing in the late game of Genshin, getting stronger to take on the Abyss, making your favorite character the best they could possibly be, is correctly gearing and leveling up artifacts for your desired character. So you can of course like use a guide to kind of steer you in the right direction, but it's a lot more nuanced than that. Every account has different weapons, different characters, different talents, constellations, etc. A guide can give you some good general advice, but if you understand the game better, you can make the right judgment calls for your characters all by yourself. I want to help you guys be more self-sufficient players, right? So let's take a character like Hu Tao. Hu Tao gets crit damage as her ascension stat, so she is naturally going to have a higher crit damage stat built into her than the average character. So naturally, it seems like a crit rate hat would be the best, you know, to help her even out her strong stats she's been given, right? You could have 500% crit damage, but if your crit rate is 1%, it's pretty much useless. The desired crit ratio we want in Genshin is 1 to 2. So double our crit rate in crit damage. So let's say 50 crit rate, 100% crit damage, 75, 150, 90, 180, etc. So in theory, a perfect character would have 100% crit rate and 200% crit damage. Of course, it's a lot more complicated than that. We'd want like a bajillion crit damage if we had 100% crit rate, right? But we also have to take into account her weapon too, right? Let's say we got lucky, we're rocking the Staff of Homo, which gives even more crit damage. Well, I think it's pretty darn obvious right now that we need to be running a crit rate hat, pretty much no exceptions. Another thing to look at is the artifact sets. Great artifact sets that Hu Tao uses, like Crimson Witch and Shiminawa's, these aren't going to affect your crit rate or crit damage in any way, right? But what about Ayaka? She gets crit damage as well from her ascension stat, and then let's say we got lucky again. We're running Mist Splitter or running Black Cliff, which gives even more crit damage. So we're going to want another crit rate hat, right? Actually, no, not very many Ayaka run crit rate hats at all. They should be running even more crit damage. The reason why is because Ayaka is usually going to be used on a Blizzard Strayer artifact set with a freeze comp. It's one of her best, most consistent competitive team comps she can run. Blizzard Strayer gives 20% bonus crit if the enemy is affected by cryo, and an additional 20% if they are frozen. So we're already at 40% crit rate. And now Ayaka is going to be running another cryo character for, you know, more cryo application and cryo resonance, which gives another 15% crit rate on cryo affected or frozen enemies. So with just a little bit of crit rate here and there from just the substats of your artifact rolls, Ayaka could be fast approaching 70%, 80%, maybe even 85% crit rate even, letting you maximize your damage with even more crit damage on that half. Another thing to keep in mind with freeze comps with Ayaka is you're not going to be having a support like Bennett, who gives the biggest attack buff in the game because he would, you know, quite literally melt the ice, right? Or we're not going to be using Kujo Sara for her attack buff because Electro doesn't synergize at all with the freeze comp. So you are going to benefit even more from getting attack and attack percent, especially rolls on your Ayaka substats. Attack percent rolls for Ayaka are going to be way more important than someone like Diluc, who's going to be run with Bennett, right? Because he's getting so much attack from Bennett. Ayaka doesn't have that many attack buffs. She wants attack percent even more. Just by taking a look at the details of your character, the team comp you're going to run them on, the artifact set you're going to run on them, you can figure out what is going to be the most optimal artifact substat spread for them most likely. Basically, if you've ever wondered what can I do to make my character stronger, to improve my characters, ask yourself, are my artifacts good? If you say no, then that's what you should be doing on your account to improve. Do not compare artifacts to others. The only thing you need to compare to is yourself. Keep lots of leveled up artifacts on your account until you can replace them with multiple sets of better ones. And make sure to check your character's inherent stats to give you an idea of what artifacts they'd like the most. Guys, I hope I really helped you guys understand why artifacts are so important. I know they are hell. I know they feel like a waste of resin most of the time, but once you get that godlike artifact on your account, it's permanent. You're going to have it forever, and it just feels really, really good. I've got another artifact guide here if you guys would like more information on how stats work on artifacts, what are the best sets, and some really important secrets that you can keep in mind while leveling up your artifacts. I'll link it in the description. As always, guys, thank you guys so much for watching my videos, homies. If you guys could subscribe to the channel or even like this video, it does go a long way in helping me out for free. And then speaking of not free, you know, shout outs to Poison Tongue Boy, Steven Gomez, Zik, and Panda for supporting me on Patreon, helping me keep these videos going, and everybody else on Patreon. Lads, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much. Peace.